Okay, everybody, here we are with the S10 again. So, as stated in the previous video with this, we're doing gears. So, as you should be able to tell, I have jacked this thing up to altitude of
get under it.
Get under it, yeah, let's go with that. And it is securely secured on jack stands and stuff. We've already disconnected the battery and disabled the airbag system. These are key lug nuts, so I get the key out of the glove box and yank the wheels. Okay, so I have the rear wheels ripped off and the drums. So, no, I don't think okay, I took off the lug nuts and gently pulled the wheels off, and now they're there and there. So I also have pulled the drain plug in the bottom of this cover and drained, I believe, to be most of the gear oil actually out. So now I get to pull the cover bolts.
So what you doing now?
Well, I got the diff cover off. I pulled the spider shaft thing, jiggy that goes through your center thing, the bolt thing. If you've ever taken the diff apart, you know what I'm talking about. I pulled both the C clips out so the axles can do a wee. Look at that.
What's that smell?
Burnt cookies, maybe?
Right.
Okay, so I have pulled the caps off for the carrier, or in their respective bags for driver, passenger, whatever. Same thing's gonna go for the shims. So now I need to slowly start wiggling this carrier out of here. Okay, so I got the center section out, and I just finished hammering on the pinion. So, I thought about it. I thought, maybe not. Probably. Well, I'll get back with you in a sec. Okay, so now I have the pinion and pinion seal out, which has been in here since 1988, I'm pretty sure. Because it was very rusty and very in there.
But it wasn't leaking.
It was not leaking, I will say. And I am very surprised that it wasn't leaking, considering that this truck has 159,000 miles.
Oh my God.
So, disassembly down here is complete. And there's still gotta get a carrier yet before we can really start full assembly. But we still gotta get the ring gear off of the old carrier, because the way we had gotten this, the gears, it came with like spider gears and the carrier and pinion, even the yoke for the drive shaft still. So a little bit of disassembly required. So each of the spider gears, they came out of the diff.
My spidey sense is tingling.
A little bit of wear, but that's to be expected, because I'm pretty sure these are probably the original gears and stuff. So, pretty nice shape. Okay, so here is the ring and pinion out of the truck. I have went ahead and pressed off the big pinion bearing. And if anybody is interested in a set of 373 ring and pinion that are in pretty nice shape, hit us up at cardboardcovergarage@gmail.com, I think. I can't remember. Or eBay. And we'll hook you up. So, this is the 323 pinion, and I still gotta get the bearing off of here. Okay, so this is the old pinion bearing, inner pinion bearing, I guess it's the proper term. And I've taken the Dremel on the inside of this and kind of, I guess, in a way, not hogged it out, but made the tolerances looser. Put it that way. So now it can almost completely free slide on here. It does take a little bit of wiggling, but it does slide on all the way and it slides off all the way. So
because we need to run a contact pattern, and we may have to put other shims there, so we can't put the final bearing on there until we get our shims and everything set. So we need a bearing that can come on and off, because we have to add more shims or take away shims.
okay, so here's our new used ring gear that came out of a Camaro Firebird, something like that, which honestly pretty much a whole 7.5 rear end was in this box, minus the axles. Now, I did notice some differences between the carriers, which posed some questions, because this is the carrier that came out of the S10. As you can see, it's open on both sides, whereas this is a carrier that came out of our Camaro Firebird or whatever it came out of, and it's mostly closed on one side. So we got to wondering, well, are the ring gears the same size, and will they bolt up to the posi carrier we have on the way? The answer is yes, so good there.
3 days later.
Okay, so the new carrier is here, and I'm in the process of pushing on the new carrier bearings. I already got one on the other side, so I'm pressing on the second one. I got a whole bunch of grease around the carrier and on the inside of the bearing. I'm using an old bearing race from other differential projects to push on that, plus a socket, and then the 20-ton press. And tapered they start pretty easily, but you'll know whenever they fully seated because it'll stop. Right there. So now, come down here and look, we are completely seated against the carrier. So, ring gear is cleaned up and we're getting ready to put it on, and what did we discover?
Ding, ding, ding.
And now, if you do wiggle it around, sometimes they can go in, but they don't go in far enough.
Yeah, it's off. A couple thousands.
Yeah, so we need to be very careful and drill these holes out to 7/16. So, what fun. Okay, so all 10 bolt holes have been drilled out, and the bolts fit okay now.
And BT dubs, all you needed was a 7/16 bit, and you just really 2 seconds each hole, it cleaned out the stuff, and now the bolts fit perfectly. So yes, you can harp on
China,
I guess, because I'm assuming that's where this was built, but it is built pretty damn stout, I gotta say. You know, it seems pretty damn quality, and it's heavy.
We'll count this as a science experiment.
Anyway, but the thing is just because the holes needed just a little bit of a few thousandths does not mean that it's not going to work for us. So
you're greasing that up.
We're going to grease this part up so we can get the ring gear to slide on a little easier, rather than heating it up with a torch, because yes, you can heat it up with a propane torch and make it expand and all that other crap, but it's almost on, so I don't see any reason to make it nuclear just to get it to slide on a little bit. Your truck is now experiencing an identity crisis on various different levels.
Yeah.
While I'm doing this?
Sure. So, the motor from is from a 96 to 98 Chevrolet truck. The transmission is from either a square body Suburban or something, or a 3/4 ton OBS, like early OBS, like first year, because it's an 88 transmission. And the rear diff is now going to be from a Camaro or a Firebird, and the drive shaft is from a 4-cylinder S10.
It is.
So
yes, with a different front yoke on it.
Yes. So I guess
So
see what the weakest link is.
Yes, I think it's going to be the axles, or it's going to be this carrier. We'll find out though.
So just putting it on there and drawing in a bolt's not going to work because they're too short. However, real men of genius here.
Real men of genius. Real men of genius.
We have the medium pot with 2 really excessively long pieces of angle iron that will work, supporting the ring gear, and then I'm going to heat this up to nuclear temperatures and then plop the carrier on there and then start the bolts in, and then it should be fine. I don't know. I see no problems with this.
Are you sure about that?
So here's the next take. Drilled these out to 1/2 inch because I'm pretty sure the tolerances or distances between these holes whenever they were drilled at the factory in China where this was made, they messed up a little, and the factory carrier has a little bit of slop, and this was pretty tight with the bolts, so should help. and I would think it should go on. Okay, I only took all day. The ring gear is mostly on there. I got it drawn on now, and I ripped all the bolts back out so that I can put blue Loctite on them and then tighten them down to 65 foot-pounds. What joy! So, be back with you in a bit. And you also want to do crisscross on your bolts.
Yeah.
Okay, finally, totally torqued these with a torque wrench on 65 foot-pounds, definitely.
We totally did.
Yeah, we definitely did not use air
There's
tools.
no air tools involved at all.
No.
Nope, not even a little bit. 'Cause that would be bad, right?
It would be terrible.
Right. But there is blue Loctite
Yes.
along with the torque wrench that we...
Yes, and you can
Used.
see it is set to 65
it's totally
foot-pounds.
set to
Oh, wait,
65.
that's Newton meters.
Yeah. It's,
There we go.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yep.
Just recap on today, we got our axle bearings, carrier bearings, I keep saying axle bearings, those are in the axle tubes. They're pressed on, and they spin nice. They're okay. And after the longest fight in the world of drilling out holes to put the ring gear on, it's together. And off camera, I crawled under here and cleaned out the inside of the axle and cleaned the surface for the cover gasket thing.
So tomorrow, we're going to start with pinion and get the preload set on that. And slap the carrier in and see what kind of a contact pattern we have.
Yerpa derpa. Sherpa. Right up.
I don't care.
Okay.
I just want to go to the cement pond. Y'all do what you want.
No. Not gonna happen. Not today. Sitting on my foot's not gonna help your cause.
He's not. It's staring at me like, aw, you poor thing.
The next day.
Okay, so we have our temporary pinionness in here. Out the pinion seal, and I have the resistance already done, and we just did a backlash test because I actually got the Chinesium carrier in here, and it was averaging like 16 or 16 and a half thousandths. So we're going to rip this back out, put on a different shim that we had from the other pinion, another shim in addition to the other shim from the other pinion, and it should bring it into spec. And then after that, get to take it all back apart.
Show everybody the tarp. So we're gonna have to change our name from Cardboard Creeper to Tarp Creeper, girl.
Well, I haven't bought anything big, so we're out of cardboard.
Well, we have some here, I'm just saying.
So after I get this ripped apart and slap another shim in it, and we'll see what our backlash is, and then if it's all good, take it back out and put on the final bearing on the pinion, and put the pinion seal in, and call it good. Okay, so the shim has been added to the pinion, and everything's together, and we checked our depth. Our depth is fine. Our backlash is like 5 thousandths, which is really good for a used gear set. So now I have the a marking compound for the contact patch. So now to spin it one revolution and see what our contact patch is.
Much later.
Okay, so after many different takes of shims and pinion preloads and stuff, finally got this dialed into 16 on the pinion preload, and I think 7.5 on the backlash. So, and it spins really nice. So now we gotta rip it all back apart so that we can put the pinion seal in and put on different bearing for the back part of the pinion, and then get to put it all back together. Fun. Okay, it's a little hard to see, but the pinion seal has been pressed, well, not pressed in, gently massaged in with a rubber mallet, lower inner bearing, whatever you want to call this,
Has been pressed
has
on.
been pressed on. And I will be using some of the old gear lube that honestly really doesn't have that many miles on it anyway to lube this up. I did that with the inner, outer bearing, smaller bearing, whatever you want to call it. So we're on the final stretch now.
Yep.
Okay, so carrier is in here for the first time for the last time, and I pulled out the spider shaft thing so that I can shove the axles in here, put the C-clips on, and then put the spider shaft back in, and then put a diff cover on it.
Nope. 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 Nope.
Okay, so a new problem has developed. Last night we tried to put these axles in, got the C-clips in, pulled them out where they're supposed to live, and the spider shaft thingy that goes up through the middle of the carrier will not go through because it is hitting the ends of the axles.
Barely.
Barely.
Like we're off a couple thousandths. So we're going to do the wrong thing and massage this a little bit with a green Wizzy disc. Take a little bit of metal off here and see what happens.
Okay, so as stated before, taking a little bit, like thousandths of inches off the ends of these.
Yeah, before when we said about taking metal off the end of the axle, I didn't want anybody to think that we're taking like massive amounts. I'm taking like 1/2 thousandths maybe, just a little teeny weeny bit, because now
This
after
is
the second try, the other axle's going in, the pin's going in just fine, and there's a witness mark here, so I just needed to take this down a little bit more till that witness mark is gone, and then we should be golden. Now, another thing I want to say, I'm always ragging on Chinese parts, and obviously this is a Chinesium one. However, I was looking at them on eBay, and then the seller came back and dropped it $10 down to 150. So I figured, what the hell, because you know it's a 7.5 10 bolt, and eventually it's going to give up the ghost. However, I will say, other than having this pin problem and the holes for the ring gear, we had to enlarge them a couple sizes because they were just a hair too small for the bolts to actually go through into the ring gear. But the carrier itself seems very well built. It seems a lot stronger than even the stock ones that came out of here. How the posi part of it's going to work, we'll find out. But so far, these little things are just little things, but hopefully it sticks together, and having to take a couple thousandths off here is not going to weaken it in any shape or form, so don't panic.
So, finally, the axles are in, and the pin is in with the bolt. So now we are actually at the stage where we need to permatex the cover and put the new gasket on, and then I guess we can actually throw some gear oil on.
Excellent.
Okay, so I actually get the brake drums on now. And we're getting the right stuff on the cover. Got the cover gasket on, and then we can sandwich the cover on there. And then I guess let it cure for a little while, because I still gotta put the drive shaft and wheels back on. And throw some oil in it.
Are you going to throw the oil in it, or are you going to apply it?
I might open up the drain plug and squeeze the bottle until it makes fart sounds. And then call it good. So, get back to you whenever that happens.
What are you doing there, sport?
I am putting the second wheel on, so I figured, you know, might as well just celebrate the little wins. And in the YouTube tutorial I watched, they told me to keep the lug nuts finger tight.
Mm-hmm.
You know, for easy access in case you have to get back in.
Mm-hmm. Yep, definitely.
That's what they told me.
So what's left then?
Oh, I gotta still tighten them down to air gun torque specs,
And then?
and then put gear oil in it.
And then?
See what happens.
All right.
But I will tell you, the
Uh-oh.
posi is working because I put it in neutral and both wheels are spinning the same direction.
Yeah, that's true.
So we might get dual wheel pins
Until it explodes.
until it explodes.
Yay!
Yay! So just took this thing for a rip. It's completely different. And the posi works very well. Don't ask us how we know. So gear change successful, and it'll definitely be more highway friendly. Wouldn't you agree, Seth?
Yep, I still got a hell of a lot of grunt. Actually, it's better with the 323s than it was with the 373s, I think.
At least getting up to speed.
Well, I mean, if you're cruising down a road and you rip it down a second and stand on it, it's like a fucking rocket ship, where it didn't do that before because it was geared too low. So we didn't have overdrive.
And it shifts a lot better, too.
Oh, yeah, the shifting, major improvement. So far, after how many miles do we go? 5 miles?
Yeah, not very
One
far.
small burnout. So far, it's hanging in there.
In conclusion to this video, gears work, and that Chinese carrier seemed to, other than having to grind down the ends of the axles and drill the holes for, or punch out the holes bigger for the ring gear, seems to work alright. Like, subscribe, see you later, bro, woman, I don't know who's watching this, whatever you are.